Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasiewicz.
Welcome, everyone, to Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. This is episode 245 with myself, Jim Fuhs, and this week's guest is Juliette Stapleton. So we're super excited to have her on. I'm going to go and bring on Jim, but we have a lot of great social media news we want to talk about this week. You know, for example, we're going to talk about Facebook business inbox for Messenger. We're going to be discussing a really important update. And I won't even want to say this is an update, but it's a big topic, actually, I think, for people that use Instagram. It's about embedding images, or in this case, embedding posts from Instagram. We're going to talk about some Twitter verification. We've also got a pretty cool little Firefox update for you, some fantastic updates to some of your favorite social media tools. We've got a live video tool for you. And we're going to talk about how to gain better visibility using social media with Juliet. So, Jim, I'm going to go and bring you on. But, Jim, fantastic having you back as usual.
Great to see you, Christian, and excited about this week's episode. A couple of neat things, a couple interesting tools as well that looking forward to talking about.
Definitely. So who is our guest this week? So I told people, okay, Juliette Stapleton, but like what do they need to know about her?
So her tagline is she's does visibility that sells, a strategist for experts, coaches, and service providers. And she's in one of my favorite places that I have yet to visit, but it's on my list for sure, and that's Ireland. So
Very good. Yes.
so she does a lot with on Facebook. We were talking about it beforehand, so I'm really interested to see what she has to tell us. She's been in business, I think, for quite a few years, highly successful. She's been on, Forbes and some other big things. So yeah, let's bring her on.
Definitely. And by the way, before we bring her on, I thought you were actually going to say your favorite place, your favorite social media place to hang out, which is Twitter. So good one, man. You threw me a curveball there. So let's go and bring on Juliet. Juliet, how are you doing?
Hi guys, how are you? Thank you so much for having me on. Such an impressive introduction. Yes, when you said Twitter, I kind of, shook a little bit because I am not on Twitter. I don't speak in one-liners. And this is definitely like the least favorite platform for me. I'm a Facebook girl.
Definitely. So did Jem, did he cover everything about you? Is there anything you wanted to add?
No, absolutely bang on. And I've built my business on the personal profile on Facebook. So I have a different twist on how we can show up. And I'm so looking forward to sharing with you guys.
Sounds great.
Fantastic. So, Jem, you want to jump into things?
Yeah, let's start talking about Facebook's latest plot, which is adding business messenger, I guess, into Messenger, which is quite fascinating. An inbox in Messenger.
What is this exactly? I mean, it sounds pretty straightforward, pretty self-explanatory, but what is it?
So now you can actually access your business inbox in Messenger on the phone, which I know a lot of people like to run their businesses off of their mobile device. Of course, sometimes that makes me cringe because you don't get all the features that you get on your desktop or even on your tablet using the browser. So I think this is great, especially if you're on the go. People are definitely becoming more comfortable with using Messenger. I mean, you can even do, these chat rooms without theoretically having a Facebook account. So I think this is actually a good move. I'll be interested to see if they roll this out to Messenger, like on the desktop at some point, because right now it's just strictly for iOS and Android.
Definitely, and so what do we have going on here? How does it work? I mean, what do I have to do?
Well, it's similar to like Instagram, where you can basically toggle between your accounts, and so it'll switch you to a completely different account. So now you're not seeing your personal stuff, because obviously you don't want to get mixed up and be sending the wrong message to the wrong people. So I think just kind of switch back and forth between accounts. So I think this could be very valuable, especially if you're managing inboxes for several brands. And it can, I definitely see where if you're doing a lot of communication, this will simplify things.
What do you think, Juliet? Good feature for a business?
Amazing feature. I'm so glad that they rolled it out, because there was a nuisance on Facebook with notifications. Somebody is sending you messages on your business page. For me, for example, I have my business page under my name, Juliette Stapleton. So some people just mix up. They don't understand that this is a business page and not my profile. And they send me messages, and I want to be able to respond. This is my whole thing, is like one-on-one connection and fast response. And I always miss these notifications, and sometimes you come back days later, and that leaves a bad impression. So I want this on my phone. I know I want to keep my life, obviously, and business separate, but this is a tool. Facebook, for me, Facebook in general is a business tool. I am not really there for personal interests. So I would like to be able to respond to people on the go. I do have my bot connected to my page, but a lot of people don't want the bot. They don't want automation. They want a personal touch. So for me to be able to actually receive notifications, switch between my accounts just on the go, and arrange something while things are hot, that's a perfect right. Opportunity.
Very good. Great points there. I mean, so a couple questions I think I have here real quick. So for starters, how do you think somebody should, for example, you make a great point. So if I went to, say I want to message you and I found your Facebook page or I found your Facebook profile and I send you a message, as you know, it can be very confusing for someone to keep up, because if you don't always check the message, you don't always check the notification, you might actually miss it, or you glance at it and it's like, well, which account is that? Now you have to check two. The good thing is you only have to check one here. But how should somebody handle, when people want to contact them? Is there a best practice maybe that you would recommend to a user or to a customer?
How to contact a business the best way?
Yes, because obviously, I mean, if I can contact you via your Facebook page or your website or maybe your Twitter account or your Instagram account, or your YouTube channels maybe you don't even use, what's the best way to kind of streamline that to get your customers, moving in the right direction with contacting you? What do you think?
Yes, it's quite a tricky thing. I think that the best thing to do is to direct all the traffic to your website and have some sort of like all-in-one chat plugin. In fact, I've been using a plugin from Elfsight, and it's all-in-one chat plugin. And you can choose, for example, I can choose to communicate with people directly onto my WhatsApp account, on my Facebook and Viper. There's a couple of more different platforms that this plugin allows you to have. But when you have that option to consolidate chats, there's different apps and plugins for that. But when you have that option and you can drive then directly traffic to your website, so from your website, those who are interested in contacting you, then they can contact you in the way that suits them. I find that that's really good. On Facebook, for the users, if you want to contact a business, and for example, if you want to contact someone who is a coach, and like myself, using their personal profile as well as their business page, and you don't know which is which, I would always say, send a message. But if you want, comment somewhere and say, I sent you a PM, and notify them as well. Because if you are contacting a personal profile, but you're not a friend, these messages go into message requests. And we sometimes, again, it's Facebook's fault. They don't make it very clear. And sometimes it's easy to overlook that their message is waiting for you. So sometimes, notification, or especially if it's a personal profile. But what we're looking at here in terms of business pages, just send us a message. Send anyone, any business a message. And if they have this app, or that's a normal Messenger app as far as I understand, is it this
Yes.
update? Yeah, so all of us have Messenger app. Every business owner who uses Facebook marketing for business should have a Messenger app installed on their phone. You can switch off notifications if that annoys you, but you need to, sometimes check it like twice a day at least. And so this will allow you to then respond timely to an inquiry, because it could be a client as well. I myself contacted businesses so many times and I needed it fast and they didn't come back to me and they lost my business.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a couple of really great points, Juliet. I mean, one, it's that ability to communicate quickly. And I think the other thing is now I don't necessarily have to go into the Pages app to access my messages, right? So that streamlines things a little bit. And I also wonder if this is also a part of that migration towards kind of this one app to do everything. You talked about WhatsApp, which is definitely got some things you can do. So maybe this is that kind of that first step in getting everything integrated as well, or another step, I should say.
Definitely. I like the points here. I mean, the fact that, in order to, I mean, again, Facebook should be one app to begin with, but maybe they need to move it off, fix it, and bring it back. I'm not sure. But I'm glad that they are consolidating. It means fewer apps that you need to have on your phone, fewer places for you to miss things. For example, that Pages app pops up, Messenger pops up, Facebook pops up with some notifications. You might miss some of those very, very, very easily to miss. It's very easy to miss that. So definitely something worth checking out. And then the other thing also with this, just a quick note, this is available for iOS and Android. It is rolling out over the coming weeks. So to get the new Facebook business inbox in your Messenger account, all you have to do is go update your app. Now, it's not going to be like, well, let me log out. It's going to basically be there or it's not going to be there. So that's all you have to do. Anything else you want to add before we move to the next topic?
I think we're good.
Okay, Jim, what's next?
Well, speaking of apps, Facebook is now rolling out another app called Collab, which is going to allow people to make music together while we're apart. And it sounds like something fun. I mean, my brother has a band. I know that sometimes they're been struggling to get everything to sound right, sync up right. So this I think this is kind of an answer. We see this a lot, even with people wanting to live stream music. This whole aspect of how do I get everybody to sound good? How do I integrate people playing, instruments in different places? And, if you read the article too, right, this is even kind of they're trying to, I don't know if I say try, to keeping up with the TikToks and some of these other apps that are letting people do these things.
Has anybody actually used this app yet? I will say I've gotten the invite to actually go download it, which is kind of nice. But has anybody actually used it yet?
I had not, because I didn't know that this existed till you brought it to my attention.
Okay. How about you, Juliet? What do you think? Have you had a chance to use this?
Myself. No, but I've seen some great collaboration. Now, as far as I understand, collabs are only allowing you to record 15 seconds at a time. So I'm sure what I've seen the whole whole song covers. I've seen some beautiful collaborations. What I find, I'm surprised at 15 seconds. What song is 15 seconds? How can you, what sort of music? This is just making a little bit of music. But still, maybe they will change that. I find that something like this is really handy for, with my musician background, there's an issue with latency, and if you want to create something together, you have to be, all playing at the same time. So if the technology allows, and nowadays, it's getting better and better. So something like that is really good. And I know that hopefully that we will soon be back to normal. We won't be locked, in our homes and all these things. But going forward, this is bringing us together. And this is what I love about the technology, from when the boom in the 90s and we all got separated and we all got, separated from behind the screens and behind pictures. And now we're all coming back together like humans should be, and allowing us to collaborate. So I'm really, really happy that this app is coming out, even if I'm personally not using it.
Definitely, and here's the thing, I got a short video we'll play here, but, the 15-second thing also is, for example, if we want to make, a 1-minute video, I could play for 15 seconds, Jim can play for 15 seconds, you could play for 15 seconds. We can have a fourth person doing something for 15 seconds as well. But let's check this out. Let's see how it actually looks. So this is Facebook Collab. So obviously that didn't show a whole lot, but you do make a great point, Juliet. And this is a point that I want to make sure that, Jem, that as you and I both are pretty seasoned live stream professionals here. I mean, I would say this: a lot of people think they can just do live streaming and play music in real time, and it doesn't really work very well. As you mentioned, Juliet, there's the latency issues. There's also the way people are connecting. For the most part, a lot of people do this. They think, well, hey, I'm going to play without a proper microphone, for example, and my computer is going to pick it up. Or they're going to want to do some vocals. And again, it also comes down to the equipment you're using. So if you're using, just the microphone in your computer, it's not going to sound very good at all. And then if Jem's trying to play something as well, and say, Juliet, you're trying to sing, like they're going to both compete with one another. So you do need to be using mixers and, things like that to be able to make that sound a whole lot better, and so there are sizable investments, unfortunately, with doing any sort of, collaboration on music. But very, 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 and as Chris mentions here, by the way, latency always an issue, unfortunately. Yeah. Absolutely. If you're trying to do any sort of live streaming, and, singing and playing musical instruments, they all have different frequencies, and you have a lot you have to figure out there. But Facebook Collab, I did drop the link, by the way, in the comments for everyone. But that's npe.fb.com/collab. Just go there. You basically just sign up, and then what they'll do is they will send you a notification to join, and you can then get the Collab app and start making music videos together. Anything else you want to add?
No, just go make music and see how it works.
This is going to open a flood of really bad collaborations, I'm afraid. Because, it's one thing when you're listening to a collaboration done by professional musicians, and it's really a music to your ears, figuratively speaking and literally. But you know what? Whatever keeps us together, I'm all for it.
Yeah, definitely. And, and here's the thing. I mean, this also could be something that could be fun to experiment with as well. I mean, there's not a lot of business utility here, I don't think. But maybe make a song. Your business could make a song. I don't know. That might be a way to use it. Not sure. So, and actually, yeah. And actually, let's look at, and Chris also has a good comment. Yeah, maybe we can do a Social Chefs jingle with that app. Yes, that's a good idea. We could actually do that. So maybe we'll try that as well. But first, we've got to get our podcast launched, actually, Jim. So
yes.
So with that, where do we want to move next, Jim?
Let's talk about something Instagram is doing, which I actually don't blame them. I know there's some people up in arms, and that they're doing the well, as they say, they threw the users of its embedding API under the bus. Pretty strong words. And so but you know what? You're using other people's content on your website without permission necessarily. I think I've seen a lot of this. I don't know about you, Juliet, where of late, people like, well, I don't understand why they're taking my video down when I'm using this copyrighted music that I don't own, that sort of thing. And it's like, people think that they have a right to people's intellectual property without compensation. And I'm sorry, I just don't agree. So personally, I don't have an issue with this. I would never think of embedding somebody else's stuff on my website without their permission.
So this is a very slippery slope. I mean, okay, so Instagram is basically, they don't give you a license to embed the content from their site on your website. So if you find a photograph that you like, not necessarily, going to be able to put that on directly on Instagram, unless you reach out to that person and ask them for permission, and obviously get it or don't get it. What do you think, Juliet? Should a business be concerned about this?
It depends. It depends on what your business is and how you use this. I never really embedded anybody else's content onto my website. It's just not something that I needed to do. I don't know if I would want people to embed my content. Depends, if it's some sort of educational video. Yes, probably yes. But on the other hand, I think that there's lack of education in general with general public about copyrights, and a lot of people have so much confusion within businesses, just regular users. They don't understand this whole thing. So the issue here, we need to start with educating people so people understand what it's about, and then these kind of issues will become maybe less frequent. I think that everything has to be considered from the point of how authentic it is. If it's and embedding somebody's content without giving them credit is just not authentic. So it's just it comes down to your values.
Yeah, this is a very, I mean, I'm not really sure like what direction this should go. I mean, for starters, I guess Instagram does need to add in more controls for a user to be able to, if I'm the one posting the photograph, for example, they need to allow more controls to let people decide, can this be embedded? Can it not be embedded, and so forth. But, maybe there's a way to also just say, hey, message the person to see if you can get some sort of, copyright like or ability to use it. Now, at the same time, though, it is in the public domain if you think about it. So, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence on this. What do you guys think? I mean, is there a right way to do this, a smart way to do this? I mean, if I'm a business, obviously I should ask the account first, can I use this on your account? Which means I am going to have to plan this sort of thing out. I can't just, oh, I found this great photograph. Let me go grab it off of Instagram. Let me actually grab the embed code, for example. But what do you guys think?
Well, I think it goes back to what Juliet said. I mean, this sometimes you're using a photo of someone that's a professional, right? And this is their livelihood. So what gives you the right to use their stuff? I mean, this kind of goes back to, right? Remember the old days of what was the name of that thing? It was it Napster, or where people were stealing people's music, right? People were downloading thousands and thousands of things for free and then giving it to their friends. And these, and of course now, right? You look at where the music industry is, you basically are getting, as a musician, pennies on the dollar for your songs to be played on these streaming devices. Uh,
Mhm.
so I think that from my perspective, this makes sense. I mean, if I take a photo that's really good, I don't want somebody using it without my permission. And, uh, so I just think we have to protect the creators. And I think this is a step, not to mention, this could open Instagram up to lawsuits,
Mhm.
potentially, if they're just letting people, you're taking my stuff without my permission.
Yeah, and Barb Tomlin makes, by the way, Barb, thanks for your other comment that you were talking about, about the Facebook collab feature. But yeah, I want to make sure we got you in here. Wow, yeah, content is non-public domain. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's public accessible, but public domain has an entirely different meaning. Very true. And I mean, is there a better? How do you educate a user? I guess on this. I guess that's the bigger question. Like, what does somebody need to do to help educate them on, like on copyrights, for example, or do you kind of learn from your mistakes? Is it, is that the best way to do it? I'm not really sure. What do you think, Juliet?
You have to teach these things from the start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and
so
and
do you think
maybe bring on like get an expert in that field. Maybe like we interview an expert, or Juliet interviews an expert, and put that out there on your social channels, so you at least educate your followers. All right, because I think that's that's a big problem in our society in general, is people don't want to take the time to learn the rules. So maybe even just a short video, like some of this is, to me, it seems like common sense, but I don't always know that common sense is a common virtue.
I have never embedded an Instagram photograph in. Is the name of the account? Does the name of the account appear when you embed the picture? That's the question. Because if it does, it should. Like if I embed a YouTube video, you would see whose channel it is embedded from. So that sort of way you are protecting yourself. The copyright is still yours, it's still your content, but then, this is why we're putting our content into the public, or, out available to public, I should say. I don't want to say anything wrong, but this is why. So we want it to be shared, we want it to be seen, but as long as the credit is attributed to us.
I think the problem, and I see that Barb's got a really good comment in there that you might want to share, Christian, that there are apps that will allow you to literally download people's Instagram photos without any attribution whatsoever. And even sometimes, if you want to call it, there are these sharing apps that will tag the original creator on the app itself. But that's not always the case. So I think that's a great point you bring up, Juliet, that it's not always the case that who the originator of the photo is. Yeah, and I couldn't.
I think that
Barb says.
Her point, I mean, just 100%, yes, like people do need to be creating their own images, their own content. And that's another thing. I mean, I'm going to put this in the perspective of like even website content, for example. Google a lot of times will service an article because, hey, it's very well written. But, the funny thing is a lot of times I'll go read an article and, it'll be like it'll be pulled from a whole completely another source. But hey, they've written a whole article that happens to rank well because they have good SEO, for example, and whatnot. But no, I think that's a brilliant point, Barb, that you make as well. And by the way, Chris also says to Juliette's point, it's not just a legal issue; it comes down to values. Absolutely. The one thing this all makes me think about is whether somebody should, like, if I'm Instagram or I'm Twitter and whatnot. And by the way, sorry, Barb makes another great point. Giving credit to the original creator adds credibility to yourself. What an opportunity so often missed. Absolutely. Fantastic point there. I'd say this, how let's see. So there are certain, like, maybe you've got a piece of technology, for example, and you want to actually learn how to use it. It doesn't just start at 0 and you can jump to 100, for example. There are various steps along the way. So, it makes me think, to Barb's point as well earlier, that maybe Instagram should consider implementing something like that where people have to go through some sort of training. Maybe they could tie this into Facebook Blueprint, maybe, some sort of training to where the person has to actually take it before they're even allowed to maybe even get the embedding option, almost using it as a terms and conditions thing, possibly. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yep.
But anything else I want to add on this? I think it's an important point that people really need to, pay attention to. But anything else you want to add?
No, I think we've covered a lot of the important points. So
very cool. What about you, Juliet? Anything else?
Well, I just think that trust yourself that you can create good content and try and focus on creating your own original content. You can, we all can when we put our minds, and just trust yourself that you can and you deserve it, because that's one of the reasons why people go and take other people's content. They don't trust themselves, but that's in some areas. Obviously, if we're talking about a photograph, it's a different story altogether. But yeah, just if you are a small business solopreneur, if you can create your own content, just try and do it yourself. That's my message to you.
Yeah, definitely. And the tools are out there. That's the one thing. Like, the barrier to entry has gotten, and you'll hear me say this a lot, it's gotten so low that, hey, somebody wants to create an ebook. The tools exist. Do it. Don't just go, copy paste somebody's content. And it's not about speed either. Speed is important, but it's not important, to the point where you get yourself in trouble, because as Barb mentioned, it also, adds to your credibility if you're doing the right things versus, you're just, you're cutting corners just because you want to be first. So just think also long-term as well, on the effects of things. Okay, Jim, what's next?
Let's actually talk about Firefox. Well, I know we had some other things, but in the interest of time, let's talk about something that Firefox is doing. They're rolling out floating picture-in-picture feature for watching videos while you're working in other tabs. And so for me, as you know, I'm a tabaholic. You would not want to know how many tabs I have open on my computer right now. I actually think this is a great feature that I might actually check Firefox out, right? And some of this, right, is, if you want to call it's the browser wars still exist. Browsers are trying to remain relevant. And so, Chrome has probably in some aspects become the dominant browser of late. So Firefox wants to stay in the game. And sometimes people hey, Chrome puts so many things in there that it frustrates people. And, Chrome is owned by Google. So I think this is definitely something interesting to check out, because, right, you don't want to have that video, maybe you want to listen to the video while you're working on something else. And so I think this is a great feature.
What do you think, Juliet? Usefulness?
Yeah, 100% I agree. And I'm also a tabaholic, and I like multitasking. And I know it's not good for the brain, but that's just the reality. So I want to watch the training while I'm doing something else, and then I'm checking out something else and my phone. And I do this all and juggle this, but I want that video to stay up, because sometimes I do leave the video on sound, but I always feel like the fear of missing out, that I don't see what's happening is a disaster. And sometimes you're just doing something, that you can keep an eye on, something like we have the tellies on, or things like that. So I love this feature.
Absolutely. And it's a very simple update. All you basically have to do is go to the Firefox app, or the desktop app. So go to Firefox on your desktop. You will probably see this little introductory video. This is actually just something I just screen captured from Firefox. but you're going to see now a little blue icon that will pop up over the video. When you hover over it, it pops out the video, and you'll be able to, from there, go about resizing the video. You can move it around your screen. There's, just basically you can, as long as you keep that tab open, you can move to other tabs. You can move to other applications, but it basically plays on top of what you have going on. So definitely something worth checking out. And there are other paid apps, by the way, if you ever want something outside of this, there are other paid apps available that also do this sort of thing as well. But that's definitely one that, this is built into Firefox. So open a YouTube video, hover over the video, click the blue icon, and poof, it pops out. So fantastic update from Firefox. Okay, Jim, anything else you want to add? I mean, I think that feature is great for taking notes, but anything else you want to talk about?
Let's ask Juliet some questions.
Sure. What do we got?
All right. So Juliet, are you ready for some questions?
I'm always ready.
Awesome. So how can a business make themselves more visible on social media? I think a lot of them struggle with this.
Well, I want to start with this big principle that I personally built my business around, and I recommend no matter what you do, always have the principle that people work with people at the heart of everything that you do. Because it doesn't matter. Think about your everyday life. For example, if I want to go to a coffee shop in the area where I live, there's like 50 coffee shops. When there is no coronavirus threat. So 50 coffee shops. How do I choose? Why do I go to the same coffee shop all the time? Because I connected with people who work there. And the truth is that if they hire someone that I don't connect with and I feel uncomfortable around, chances are I will stop going to that coffee shop. I think that no matter what we're going to a place for, it's the people that make or break our final decision. It's not about the place that the place is the best. It's really the people you like the most. And so when we are showing up, when we want to be more visible, embracing that people are doing business with you is a number one priority for any business owner, CEO. It doesn't have to be a small business, doesn't have to be a solopreneur, but adding that personal brand, adding that personal touch. And you can do it in different ways. If you're a small business or you're a solopreneur, you're obviously like a one-man orchestra and you're doing everything. This is so important. People will work with you. It's so important that you're showing up, you're using video, you are connecting to people, because our decision to buy is a lot of times, and most of the time, it's emotional. It's the connection that we've built, and also watching somebody on screen. There's something magnetic about it, and that's why reality TV genre is so popular. Because we, even if we hate, like my husband watches Desperate Housewives, not because he likes it. It's like he watched it once, he got shocked, and now every time they're on, he lingers until I have to interfere and say stop it, because there's a magnetism there. There's something about watching these people, especially when you saw them more than once, and using that to our advantage, and obviously showing up with value, showing up with being authentic, but also showing up with who you are. Who you are is so important. This is how we connect to our ideal clients, because our ideal clients are people who are very aligned with who we are. And the business and the expertise and everything is kind of almost like a secondary thing. So showing up with me, my message, show up as who you are, do live streams, share about your values, share what you think, share things that maybe are polarizing, but they will pre-qualify who are your kind of people and who are the rest of the world who we don't really have to care about. And so this is where I think I'm going now in circles, but yeah, show up as who you are. That's number one rule in visibility.
Very good. That's a great point. So, Jem, what's next?
So, how important is it for businesses to use video to increase their visibility?
Okay, that's a great question. This is why I kind of didn't want to tap into the video yet, because this is how the connection happens. We are social creatures. We love, being in each other's worlds. And again, think about reality TV. We don't have to necessarily communicate. Sometimes watching is enough. And video provides a very intimate experience. It's even more intimate than the real life communication, because you're looking into each other's eyes. Sometimes, I don't look into people's eyes very often, but I do into my camera.
Right now.
Yeah, I look into your eyes. I open up. I sometimes talk about things that I don't necessarily talk to people in my real life. In fact, one of my clients who has been doing a lot of live video with the coronavirus, her business closed. It's a boutique, and she was doing a lot of videos showcasing what she has in the boutique, but also talking about things that she's passionate about, and offering some words of wisdom, and talk about the secret and the law of attraction. And she recently got a card from somebody who lives in our town and who knows her for many, many years, saying that I am so grateful. I could never say this to your face, but you mean what you do means so much to me. This level of connection is even impossible in real life. What we have with video is powerful, and it's authentic, and it allows you to show up in the way that is the most genuine, I think. And people, I feel like we are energy creatures, so this unique energy that we have, it's a big selling tool, and it's a huge client attraction tool. So using video is when we take a shortcut. It's scary when you don't do it, but when you start doing it, you start enjoying it eventually, and you do things to make yourself look better, feel better about it. You obviously, it's not something that you just turn on. But when you embrace this, you will start, it's so empowering. You will start feeling good about yourself. You will start developing great connections with people, and it will definitely have a great effect for your business too.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I think, and even more so, live video, because it's real, it's uncut, it's raw, it can be very powerful. And I think the other thing is, if with a live video, like this is a live video we're doing right now, we make mistakes, right? So it shows people that we're human. And I think that that's a much better connection sometimes in these polished, perfect videos, because people's like, well, I could never do that. That's just seems too hard to do, but they don't realize all the editing that's gone into that.
And I like the point that Barb made earlier, by the way. This was as we were transitioning. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Actually, she talked about, let me find it real quick from her. So Barb said, you know what? She said that if you think you can, you can. And I think that's a great point, to both of what like you all have said, which is like, yeah, the technology, it empowers us. It's also about building relationships with people, and also not being afraid, to make mistakes, like technology. If you're not really good at technology, there are, like today, there's no reason to say I can't be good at technology, because there's video, there's videos everywhere. There's articles everywhere. The piece of advice I would give people would be this. I would say, look up different videos and look at different styles of the way people teach. And, if you find somebody that you think you resonate with, follow their content, and instead of saying, well, hey, let me go to the most popular person, because sometimes the most popular person, they're geeking out and whatnot. And like, I love tech, but if you're talking too much about it, sometimes it just goes over a lot of people's heads. Right.
And you're bringing to the point you're making the same point there that I made earlier, because you will follow those people you like, right? No matter how good you are, if I don't like you, if I find you boring, overwhelming, and just exhausting, I will not follow you, and anything you say doesn't sink in.
Absolutely.
And Barb, I should actually call this the Barb Show, by the way, the Barb Tomlin Show. Barb also says, talking about religion, Juliet, love what you're saying. Technology connects us, but it takes people to communicate. And that's 100% true. You can have the best equipment. You can have, like you can spend hours, for example, working on something, putting it out there, trying to get it perfect, trying to like thinking, well, hey, this is, the technology is going to do everything for me. And it really comes down to how you communicate with that person. So fantastic points. So, and she also likes your smile, by the way, Juliet.
Thank you.
$1 million smile. That's right. Absolutely.
So we talked about, business getting more visibility through social media, and how important it is obviously to use video to increase visibility, because video is where it's at nowadays, whether it's pre-recorded or live content. Are there a handful of tools, Juliet, that you want to share with viewers that they can tap into to help them increase that visibility?
Absolutely. And I think that we picked a couple of tools. These are my go-to tools. I stream with Ecamm Live. It's a Mac-only standalone software for live streaming. It's so much better than going and live streaming directly in your browser, because browsers were never designed for handling video in that kind of way. So, and it's something that you don't need to be a tech genius. You can figure it out. There's loads of tutorials, but you can create like semi-professional to really good-looking videos with intros and outros and your titles and loads of things you can do with it. And I absolutely love Ecamm Live. I use it for basically. I think that this was what made my business happen, because I was struggling with technology before and nothing wanted to work. And then Ecamm came into my life, and it's like the light turned on. So Ecamm Live is definitely brilliant for live streaming. And another two tools that I really love is I love wave.video. It's great to create short promotional videos. You can create your branded intros and outros, call to actions, anything you're promoting, any kind of special offers. And they have all pre-designed templates if you're running out of creativity, or you can create your own that are really true to your brand as well. And it's definitely one of my go-to tools. I spend a lot of time on wave.video. And the last one, and one thing that I really like, if you're creating something, say for Instagram, you can very easily convert it and, create a story, and just with a few tweaks, it's ready to go. So it just multitasking and creating in one place, creating so many pieces of content is brilliant. And the last one that I really love, and I think that we're going to talk about it a little bit, is OneStream Live. And it's a very handy tool for going live, but you're actually not there live. Yeah. And you can do that on your personal profile, on your, you can do it in multiple platforms depending on the level of the account that you have. But I find that it's brilliant, and because we're not machines, and there's days when we just not in the live streaming mode. Our energy is not there. It's important to mind your energy, how you're showing up. And so for those days, sometimes it's easier to record yourself and stream it as if you're live. And then what you can do, this is what I really like, you can be still there, but you can invite more people to your live stream, because sometimes, we need to do extra work. A lot of people go live and they say, oh, nobody's there, and there was 0 viewers and then nobody saw me, but they don't do any work to invite people to their streams. You have to, this is part of how you build engagement, how you build visibility. So while the video is there, I can be inviting all my friends to watch this video and then interact with them in the comments. Luckily for me on my live streams, and that has to do with my kind of fractioned brain, I get distracted so easily. I'm real a squirrel kind of person. So if I look at the comments while I'm speaking, I can get so distracted I don't remember what I was talking about. I call it the Juliette Stapleton effect, because it happens all the time. So on my normal live streams, I don't really interact with people that much, so it makes it easy for me. But I do think, especially if you're really resisting live streaming, maybe in the beginning, sometimes it's a little kind of cheaty tool, but it's better to do that than not show up. And this is more important. Consistency and being there with video, making sure that your message is heard is more important than, hiding and waiting and not doing it.
Definitely. So I think these are great points that you make. So we're going to make sure we put all of these questions that you've answered about businesses gaining greater visibility. We'll talk about that on the blog post recap, socialchefs.com/SC245. Okay. So we're going to now jump into the last segment of the show. This is tool time. And, as we always talk about, we have 2 tools that we want to share with you that we think can help you as a business. This could be software, it could be hardware. It can be, gadgets, plugins, all sorts of different things. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about 2 quick tools here. The first one is called OneStream. And I know, Juliet, you talked a little bit about this a few minutes ago. The one question I guess I have on OneStream is this. So, okay, it's the ability to take pre-recorded video content and to push it out to YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Periscope, Twitch, Mixer, Smash, Cast, and much more. You basically can schedule your broadcast. The one question I guess I have is, how is this different than me doing, like, say, a Facebook premiere, or is it the same thing? Because that's basically taking a pre-recorded video, putting it up, and being able to stream it to Facebook as if it was live.
Oh, it's not really different from Facebook Premiere, but it is. But you can't do a Facebook Premiere inside your Facebook group or on your personal profile. So what this allows you to do is, stream in more places than Premiere is strictly for Facebook business pages. So that's one of the things that I like about it. And also, there are some similar tools that allow you to, if you go live, to stream to different platforms, for example. This is pre-recorded now, guys. But what I really like about this one is that it allows you to create proper description and proper title for the video in advance, whereas some other tools, for example, Restream, adds a little, live streaming with Restream, and then you have to go and edit it, and it just doesn't, you're losing in the heat of a moment. There's no call to action or something, so this tool really does everything you need it to do and go live for you. And especially for me, I'm based in Ireland right now. I've been here for 21 years. I'm moving to Estonia, where I'm from, later on in the year. There is an issue. My clients are mostly in the States, a lot of them in the Pacific and Pacific side. So there is a huge time difference. And for me to be able to stream videos that will, when I'm streaming a video as if it's live, then everybody gets a notification that Juliette Stapleton went live. And that's an important part about this particular tool, that it still does that. And so I can be asleep in the middle of the night, and people are still watching my video and, getting engaging with me. And, they see me all the time. So my visibility is working in my sleep. Isn't that the dream of us? Like, the things will make money in your sleep. So this is one of the tools that you can use for that.
Jim, what do you think about this one?
I think it's really interesting. I was looking at the features, and so it does also look like as you go to the different levels, and they have this free plan, right? For 5-minute videos, you could, go to your Facebook group, 5-minute short, maybe it's a short tutorial, but it comes across as live, it gets people's attention. And I think that's a great point, right? You can get up to 15 minutes for $10 a month in multi-stream. So I could definitely see, if you're wanting to catch people's attention with tips and tricks, so to speak, short things, this could be very valuable, because you can make those videos in advance to make sure you're addressing all those things you want to do. And then, to Juliet's point, right, you're not distracted with interacting with your audience, because you want to get this message across and get it across in the right way. So I think I could see where it's definitely worth checking out.
I will say this. I mean, the fact that it's like a Facebook premiere, I know I love Facebook premieres, but I like the fact that this is similar to that, and it lets me do this across other platforms, specifically YouTube Live. I think that's one definitely worth checking out. And again, I mean, the pricing is right. I mean, it's not too expensive. If you want to get 8 hours, I think it is, or 1 to 8, it's, what is it, $60, $70 a month. But think about all the time that it frees you up as well, because that is one thing when you do live streaming. There's typically a lot of time commitment to that. It's not just, hey, I'm going to show up and I'm live. There's the promotional aspect. There's, bringing on a guest. It depends on what your show is, what the structure is, and so forth. So it's not just like, hey, it's 30 minutes of my time. It's possibly a few hours that could be utilized somewhere else, but definitely something worth checking out. OneStream. Okay. So the next tool we really want to quickly share is called Filmora. And can you tell people about Filmora, Juliet?
Well, Filmora is a video editing tool. So if you went live and you had your live stream, and then maybe you're like me, got distracted, or something happened and you want to cut it out, this is the tool that you can do it. You don't need to be really techie to use this tool. That's another go-to tool that I have. I'm so excited today that you're talking about the tools I use all the time. Very simple. You can add beautiful transitions. You can create so many things there. Again, there is no limit to what you can do with this, but even if you don't have any tech skills, to have something like this where you can create a video, cut things out maybe that you don't want, maybe it was a live stream or you just recorded your video, and produce more or less, a polished final result. It's it's really, really good. And the best thing is that the lifetime subscription is $59.99 US, and that is nothing for a video editing software like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that it's, it also has this fantastic feature, which is the fact that it scales with you as a business owner. So like when you start using a video editor, a lot of times it's going to be doing things like, hey, I need to edit a clip. I need to trim something. I need to combine some clips. Maybe I add some transitions between those clips. Maybe I drop in, make it a little more advanced. Let's drop in a title, and do some of these other things. So that's all good, basic video editing, but it scales in the fact that you can also have video overlays. You can do some multi-screen options. There's the ability to chroma key, which is basically if you get into green screen, it basically is keying out the background behind you or whatever that object is that's green. And then there's also things such as color grading, audio mixing, and much more. So for example, maybe I'll start out by editing and trimming a very basic video, and then I'll move up to doing some color grading to make sure that when I jump from one scene to another, the colors across those scenes match. So definitely something worth it, worth checking out for $60. I mean, that's, the fact that it's one time, that's definitely something that people want to invest in. So anything else you want to add about Filmora?
No, I think it's another great tool. It's probably at a price point that would be comfortable for a lot of people. I think, a lot of these video editing tools, right? The price point continues to go up. And if this is what's keeping you from doing video, right? You can, just don't get a cup of coffee at Starbucks for a couple of weeks and you'll be able to pay for it.
Exactly. No, I think it's a good point. I mean, somebody easily spend that $60 in a week, and instead they could put that $60 towards something else, something that they can actually produce more content from. For example, hey, if they're worried about Instagram copyrights for embedding post, hey, now you have a way to produce that content very easily, and you don't need the tool, but it makes it easier, it helps empower you, I think. So Juliet, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I know we're going to make sure we put all this together in the blog post recap that people will be able to get at socialchefs.com /SC245. But where is the best place for people to be able to reach you at?
For me, guys, just go to JulietteStapleton.com. That's my website. You'll see everything there. And if you're on Facebook, then look me up on Facebook, Juliette Stapleton. Follow my profile. I think I'm on my 5K friends, but you can follow my public profile. Engage with my posts. So you have to give to be visible online. You have to first learn to be visible and give energy to other people on their content, right? I will engage with you, and send me a friend request if you can, and send me a message and introduce yourself and mention this show, and we can chat.
Fantastic. Jim, anything else you want to add?
No, it was a pleasure to get to meet you, even if it was virtually, Juliet. Love your energy, and thank you for everything you shared today. And I am following you because I guess, like you said, you reached your limit, but we are connected on LinkedIn because she is out there too. So thanks for joining us, Juliet. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure, and pleasure was all mine.
So that's going to do it for this week's episode of Social Chatter, episode 245. Again, if you want to check out any of the notes, for example, about visibility or the tools or the topics such as business inbox for Facebook Messenger, go to socialchefs.com /SC245. But with that, we're going to see you all next Thursday. If you want to join us, that's going to be Thursday, June 18th, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be joined by Mia Voss. Her handle is, what is it? I think Mia on the go, I think. Is that right?
Sounds right.
So she's going to be joining us on youtube.com/socialchefs or facebook.com/socialchefs. But I hope to see you all there. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone.